This right here is the GoPro Hero Black, the brand new camera just launched hopefully yesterday by the time this comes out. Today we are going to look through this camera, the good, the bad, maybe the ugly. I will say I think this is the most interesting action camera launch in many years. I was left out of the launch, like the press event thing, so I got it on launch day, but we're gonna test it out today, go through everything. And do you wanna go, are you gonna help me today? Yeah! Yeah! You're awesome. Should we go see Mom? Let's go see Mom. Come on, let's go. Let's dig into the Hero 13 Black because like I said, this might be one of the most interesting launches because a lot about the 13 Black is the same as the Hero 12 Black, but also a lot is different. Before I launch into this is not sponsored by GoPro, but it is sponsored by me. This right here is the David Manning EDC multi-tool from Condor Blue. This right here is my first physical product that you guys can get your hands on. It is a multi-tool fidget toy, goes on your keys. That's how I use it. Comes with 2 bits built in that are magnetically held in place. Pop up top to use up there. It comes with a 4mm and a Phillips head for 4mm for your camera and Phillips head for your thumb screws. You've got a flat head on the bottom that also doubles as a box opener and AirTag. You pop your AirTag into the EDC multi-tool and you will never lose your multi-tool. You will never lose your keys. And if you put them in a camera bag, you'll never lose that camera bag because yeah, has an AirTag built in. Not sponsored by GoPro, but is sponsored by me and Condor Blue. Link down below. Okay, let's jump to the things. Let's go over all the things that are the same first on the Hero Black because there's a lot that is the same. They're very, very similar. Same size and dimensions. I think that we added like 3 or 4 grams on here. We do have now a heat sink up front. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But same rear screen, same front screen, same f2.5 lens. We no longer have like the blue speckles. We went back to just an all black camera. And most important, the same 1/1.9 inch sensor and the same GP2 processor. So when you go and shoot these things, they are the same camera, which means we do still have the same frame rates built in. Mostly, they were able to squeeze some more juice out of this one. Now, frame rates, we do have the same frame rates at 5.3K, 60 frames a second, 4K, 120 frames a second, 2.7K, 120 frames a second, and 1080, 240 frames a second. Same 27 megapixel photos and 24.7 megapixel screen grabs, that's maybe my favorite part of GoPro in general. Well, that and the 8x7 sensor. The 8x7 mode, to be able to shoot in almost square mode, this does now have a 1:1 ratio built in, but we'll talk about how you get that in a few minutes here. And the same hyper smooth 6.0 from the Hero 12 to the Hero 13. So again, like most everything feels like the same camera, new accessories. And that's true, but those new accessories, they're pretty dope. And the new accessories are not backwards compatible to the Hero 12, which is a bummer. Now, like I said, we did get some more juice out of the squeeze on the Hero 13 Black. We now have something called burst mode. In purely a burst format, this camera can now do 5.3K, 120 frames a second for 5 seconds. We can also do 900p at 360 frames a second for 15 seconds. And if you drop all the way down to 720p, you get 400 frames a second, which is absurd. If I play this to you at like 100% on the viewer, you're gonna see how small 720p is compared to 4K. Then if I boost up to 200%, you'll see a little bit of resolution loss, and then 300%, which brings me now to 4K, quite a bit of resolution loss. So 720, 400 frames a second is so ridiculous. Like, I think that there's definitely like a use case where that is fun. Like, it's fun to do that. I just want to go on record real quick. The hair flip idea was her idea.
I know, it was terrible.
It wasn't my idea. I just want to be on record. People are gonna be like, using your wife. Yes, but Also, it was her idea. We also now have HLG HDR, like true broadcast quality HLG HDR built into this thing. I don't think most people will use that. I think most people are going to shoot in standard profile, which I think looks great now that we have that normal color profile, or log profile. Log is what I mainly shoot in because I want to color correct my footage in post, and that's gonna give you the most dynamic range by shooting in log. But again, even like the standard mode, it looks pretty good. I always take GoPros. Most of the footage in here, I didn't do it because I wanted you guys to see what it looked like straight out of the camera, but almost all footage on GoPros always reduce your EV comp by -0.5. I promise you, your footage will look significantly better if you do that. And bring the sharpness down a little bit. It's medium is too high. Two of the things that they fixed in camera now are the quick capture mode. Before, you would hit the top button, start a quick insert SD card. I need an SD card. You would start a quick capture by just tapping the top button. It's going to start a recording. So now I'm recording, and before you would hit the button to stop recording and the camera would just turn off. Now, let's say that you started recording and you wanted to continue to film more clips. Like you pull the camera out of your pocket, you hit start, it's recording, and now you're like, I want to continue recording. Before, it would just turn off and there was no way to cancel the shutdown process. Now, when you stop that clip, it says that I can either hit this again to start recording, or I can hit the mode button. Now I'm just like back to the camera and I can wait a few seconds, like the camera's turned on. That is a welcomed feature that again, both of the other competitors already added to their cameras. And then also now in the presets. So when you set up presets before on the 12 in the Quick app, I can rename those presets, like customize them to whatever I wanted to call them. But now on camera, I can actually do that on the camera. It's like a painful process to do because you're like they didn't give you like a QWERTY keyboard. It's like a slider, which makes sense. It's a small screen. It would be hard to put a whole QWERTY keyboard on this tiny little screen. And then we do have a couple of new audio tricks built into this as well. So we have the same 3 mics from the GoPro 12 to the 13, like no hardware shift, but now in the audio options, we have now a standard mode and then a voice mode. Here's a little audio test, not with this hooked up. This is just the GoPro internal mics, and this is in standard tuning. So we are not using the voice mode, so you should hear a ton of waves. It is pretty windy, but I don't think windy enough to cause any sort of wind problems. Wind reduction is set to auto right now, but you're probably gonna hear my daughter. This is standard. Audio in standard. Let's switch to the voice mode and see how much more does it isolate my voice in a noisy environment like this where there's plenty of wind and waves and, you know, just beach sounds. Okay, same exact setup, but this time the voice mode is turned on. So it's trying to isolate my voice against this noisy background. It's trying to really pick that up, highlight that, and dim down the background. If I go quiet, do you still hear much of that background? And then when I'm talking, are you hearing my voice? Do you feel like more than before? Now this little guy, this is the DJI Mic 2. We can Bluetooth this to the GoPro. So let's flip to that, and I'll show you what that sounds like. Okay, and now this is the DJI Mic 2 hooked up via Bluetooth to the GoPro. Hey lady, will you hold this camera for a second and point it at me? So now you can see that even if I go way back here, I'm still Bluetoothing the audio to it, which if I didn't have this connected right now, there was no chance you would hear me at all right now. Again, though, it's Bluetooth, so this microphone can do a little bit better quality, but through Bluetooth, it's still good. It's good, it's nice to have, and you can do voice commands. So if you had that mounted on the outside of your car, then you could do voice commands to your GoPro through a little microphone like this, or AirPods. It also works with AirPods or the DJI Mic 2. I think there's some other mics too. Bluetooth audio. How's it sound? Sound good? And here's a quick demo of what this mic actually sounds like. This is how good of the quality the microphone sounds. Hey, one more time. Will you hold that, lady? Thank you. Oh, what an assistant. What an assistant, babe. This is what the mic sounds like, actually the internal recording on the DJI Mic 2. So I would even say maybe it's worth running the internal recording and syncing in post. Hello. What do you want to say to the camera?
I love you.
Oh, you love me, I love you. It might be better to just record internally here and sync. If you're like, I want the best quality possible, that's how you would do it. Do you have anything to say to the camera today?
No.
Now, another feature that they brought back on this is GPS built in, which is so crazy because the 9, the 10, the 11 all had GPS built in. And then on the 12, they were like, no GPS, like we took it out. The other cameras did too. The DJI and the Insta360 are doing GPS via an external piece or your Apple Watch and Garmin devices, but now we have that back into the 13 built in. So if you want to do those cool like overlays that shows you speed and kind of where you've been, all those cool overlays, you can now again do it on the Hero 13. Now, a lot of those things that we just talked about sound like they could be brought backwards compatible to the Hero 12, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. What is definitely not backwards compatible though is the new battery. We have a new 1900 milliamp Enduro battery. So this is a new battery. It does not fit in the Hero 12 because the prongs are all in a different spot. So new battery, but like almost identical form. Like it's not bigger than the old battery, but it is 1900 milliamps over 1720. We are now promised 90 minutes of continuous runtime in 4K 30 on this thing, and in 1080 up to 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours of battery life in a camera like that. That is an extraordinary feat, and I haven't had time to test that one yet, but in 4K, I would say that the 90-minute mark, very doable. Like I got about that today. I kept recharging my camera because I've only got one battery to test with, but on the Hero 13, I was seeing significantly better battery performance. I can't measure that yet. I haven't done like all my data testing, but significantly better than my Hero 12. And the Hero 12 with the Enduro battery was already significantly better than the previous versions without the Enduro battery. Here's a big one though, is that we still don't have fast charging on this new battery. Now it does charge up faster than the old Enduro batteries, but still not as fast as the other action cameras that are bringing in fast charge. You know, like fast charge, like you're like 0 to 80% in 20 minutes. And that is super helpful when you are in a bind and your batteries have died and you're like, I just need some juice. So you've got like one plugged in while you're filming with the other one, and you go back and you're like, it's only like 30 or 40%. Fast charging, I'm bummed we didn't get fast charging. I wonder if that's like a software issue or a battery issue. Like on the Hero 14, could we use these same batteries but now get fast charging? If you're like a battery engineer out there, let me know if that's a battery thing or a software thing. Let's now come to one of my favorite things to talk about now, because I gave the GoPro 12 a lot of crap, we'll say, for not including a magnetic mount. The DJI Action 4 magnetic mount, the Ace Pro magnetic mount, and the Hero 12 just had the flippy down feet, which I was shocked by. And a lot of people came out and were like, David, GoPro would never do that because it's like built to be strong and tough, and the feet are stronger than the magnet. The magnet are... Guess what we have? The GoPro Hero 13 with magnetic mount. Haha. Nanny boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. The magnet, I'm so happy that they finally did it, and I will say, like, they did a very good job on the magnetic mount. This piece right here, like, I'm almost positive, I think it's aluminum. I think this is an aluminum mount. It's because this is aluminum. Hang on. Yeah, that's aluminum for sure. And it's very cool that this goes both ways. So you can pop your camera on either way and it will lock in place. So bi-directional, whereas the DJI and Ace Pro are unidirectional. So like if I try to flip it this way, it will not go on, like it won't let me line up. But if I go this way, locked in place. And again, I made a whole video trying to explain these magnetic mounts and that they're not magnetic mounts. It's very misleading to call that a magnetic mount when there are physical fingers that are locked, like hooks that are locking into the camera. That's what's holding the camera. The magnets just kind of help you like line it up. Like when you're not looking, the magnets kind of like yank it, but then it's the hooks that lock it in place. This is very secure. Now, GoPro does say that if you are going to go into like a crazy gnarly environment, like you're in a dune buggy through the desert, which by the way, I've been in with both of these mounts and they've held no problem, but GoPro does still say, don't use their magnetic mount, use the still included flip down feet. Flip down feet, 1/4-20 in the middle, and I had this already. Where's my Hero 12 with it? Oh yeah. Falcam last year made this bottom magnetic mount bit for the GoPro Hero 12 that I used, and I think it made it so that it locks onto the DJI mount, so magnetic mount, flip down feet in there, and in between there is a 1/4-20. So they kind of like took this idea and they retooled it into this. And thank you, GoPro, because I love it. You were a little late to the game though. Okay, that brings me to maybe the most exciting part of all this new GoPro stuff, and that is the new auto-detecting lens system. So on GoPros of yore, you've been able to pop off that lens and put on things like the Max Lens 2.0. This right here is not the Max Lens 2.0 because it's been rebranded the ultra wide lens. This lens though now has a little blue dot here and a little blue dot here. So it lets you know where to line them up. And then when I lock this in place, my GoPro knows which lens I just put on there. It says ultra wide right there at the top, and it is dialed in for those settings. So now when I go into the settings, all my settings are set up for this ultra wide lens. On the Hero 12, if you put on that Max Lens 2.0 lens, which by the way, Max Lens 2.0 and the new ultra wide lens, the exact same thing, but this one will not fit on this one, but this one will fit on the new GoPro, but then it's not auto sensing. You don't get the cool, like, I know what you're using right now, and bloop, bloop, it's just ready to go. But we have some new lenses. One is GoPro's ND filter set, which I've used ND filters plenty of times in the past. I almost stopped using them just because I was like, I don't know, it's an action camera, I'll just let there be no motion blur. But if you were like, hey, I really want motion blur, now this new ND filter set is auto sensing, and the camera knows which ND filter you put on. So this is an ND8. If I put it on, rock that thing into place, and now the camera knows right up top, it says ND8. Another snap-on filter that is also very cool is a macro lens. We now have a macro lens shadink on the Hero 13 Black. And when I say it's fairly macro. 4 inches is the minimum focusing distance. So like, I will take this for example right here. So on the top of the lens, I now have a variable focusing ring. So I can go from infinity over here and I can focus and rack all the way down to macro. The reason I keep saying this is that the minimum focusing distance at 4 inches, like it's fairly macro. Like if I was to get like way up in here, still blurry, right? Like there, like that is about as macro as I can, like that's in focus. If I go even tighter, like that's like what I think of as macro. But with this, I can go here. Yep, that's as close as I can get. Which to be fair is pretty good because if I rack over here, this is like the normal focusing distance. And now if I look at the same thing, again though, very cool to have. Then there's also a new anamorphic lens it's not out yet. I think it comes next year, and there's like a few of them. Go over to Potato Jet's channel. He filmed with the anamorphic lens. Anamorphic on a GoPro. I would much prefer to see telephoto over anamorphic. Okay, let's go to my gripes list. Everything about the Hero 13 we've talked about. Let's talk more about this. Now listen, this has the same processor and sensor and lens and screens. And I mean, it's the differences between these two cameras physically, there's nothing that I can think of except for this heat thing, which is like a little heat grill up front. A lot of those features, like a lot of the things that now the Hero 13 has, in theory, the Hero 12 should just get. Like it feels like a software update to just beam burst mode and those new audio modes. Oh, there's noise reduction on this. I can now dial in my noise reduction. We should just be able to have that on here. And, oh, I didn't even mention it, with the ultra wide lens on here, it now gives a 1-to-1 full sensor readout mode, which is very dope for reframing in post. But again, it feels like all of those things, like the coolest things about this new camera that are just the actual camera should just be able to beam over to the Hero 12. Unfortunately, I'm guessing that they won't. I think that they'll say like it's a thermo regulation thing, like that this little heat sink just does some amazing things. And maybe the battery, like this has a new battery, this has an older battery, and they'll say like this can't handle it. Again, it should be able to though. And then also it's a bummer that a lot of the macro lens, not backwards compatible. Obviously maybe it won't fit on because of the extra little nugget. There's a little extra nugget right there. Oh, it won't even lock into place. You cannot use the new macro lens on the Hero 12 either, which again, it feels like, yes, it wouldn't be auto sensing, but like for sure, this should just be able to go lock on, then you, in the software, flip to macro lens. Now the camera knows it's in macro lens, and you should be able to use these features with this camera. That it makes a lot of sense. So new things, new features on the camera, not backwards compatible, but nicely, because they kept the same body style, all the old mods that you have for your older stuff does fit the new Hero 13. So same media mod, the ultra wide, or the max lens 2.0, it does fit on this camera. I don't know if there's somewhere in the software that I can go to turn it on, but old stuff fits the new camera, just the new stuff and like the new features in the camera, they don't go backwards, which is a bummer. Like always though, I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you want me to test on this camera. I will for sure at some point be putting these three up against each other. Should I include the Hero 12 so that you can see like how close the 12 and the 13 are? Should I do like these 4 cameras against each other? Wait, these 4 cameras against each other and just like see like how do these 4 compare to each other? If these 4 were like what you were out shopping for, which of these 4 should you get? That might be a good video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I will see you soon. Oh, hey, go buy this. If you haven't bought it already, like go buy it. I promise you're gonna like it. I designed it because it's my favorite thing. Like I designed my favorite thing, and here it is. New favorite thing. It's gonna be yours too. I'll see ya. What else do you want to say? Do you want to say anything else? Come here.
Hi, I'm Eleanor.
What else? How old are you?
I'm 5.
You're 5. What's your favorite animal?
A cheetah.
What do you know about farts?